Hello everybody, my name's Young Falcon and welcome to my GranBlue Fantasy Versus review. It's been about a week since the game released and I want to go over my pros, cons, and overall time and impressions with this game on hand, as I personally think it's going to be the #1 fighter to look out for as we move into this next year of 2020. There are a lot of great fighting games out there, each with their own benefits and things you don't really like about them, but in total, GranBlue Fantasy has done a very good job, I feel like, of implementing itself and putting itself on the map, and I really want to discuss with you guys all of the unique mechanics, intricacies, all that good stuff, because this is a game I definitely don't want to go under the radar, as I've been learning it and unraveling all the good things about it. Now, I will be making a lot of comparisons to other fighting games on the market right now, such as Samurai Showdown and Street Fighter V. I feel like those two are the biggest in terms of games that are very similar to GranBlue Fantasy Versus, so if you've played those games and you enjoy them, I can confidently say right now you should pick up GranBlue. But I'm also going to be rating it on terms of how accessible is it, how easy is it for casuals to get into, and on top of that, is it still difficult enough for veteran players to play? Is it going to be too easy? Will it get stale after a while? Those types of factors are going to play a huge deal in this 1v1 type of climate as we talk about the game going on here. However, with that being said, I do also want to cover the amount of ludicrous content that is in the game, because there is a bunch of it, and I really want to applaud Arc System Works and Cygames for what they've done with GranBlue Fantasy Versus in terms of content alone. Now, I am playing the Japanese release, so I couldn't fully go through the RPG mode, unfortunately, but I did go through a couple of missions just to try out the gameplay of them, and I did enjoy what I played. Gave me very heavy TMNT flashbacks, arcade beat-em-ups, that kind of thing, and I felt like they did a pretty good job there. That's all you're going to get from me in terms of RPG mode. I thought it was really cool. I think the story is probably really good from what I'm hearing. I think it's just the GranBlue storyline anyways. Maybe I'm wrong about that. If I am, please correct me in the comments down below. Overall, I think it's really cool what they're doing with the RPG mode. But without further ado, let's get straight into the pros and cons and what you need to look out for when it comes to GranBlue Fantasy Versus. So firstly, let's talk about accessibility. Is this game accessible to newcomers and veterans alike? Most definitely. Not only is the game pretty easy to pick up because of, well, the skill button and being able to do your Hadouken inputs with the press of the R1 shoulder button, albeit at a tiny cost, as your skills will take a little bit longer to recharge compared to actually using the quarter circle, backwards, forwards, whatever may be inputs. Now, that mechanic alone is pretty good at easing in newcomers and not penalizing them completely for wanting to use skills, but also kind of making sure they're getting rewarded for going out of their way to learn the more advanced mechanics of the game, which is always a thumbs up in my book. But the game also offers a complete codex of fighting game terminology, history, and all that kind of good stuff to fully layer out what you need to learn about fighting games, what frame advantage is, what frame disadvantage is, when you're plus on stuff, when you're plus on block, when you should grab, can you jump grabs, what a meaty is. All of that great stuff really goes an extremely long way of teaching the newer players how to learn these fighting games, both in text and in the in-game tutorial format, teaching players how to run, walk, combo, what an auto combo is, what the straight hit combo strings are, combo trials for each character, just showing off what each character's skills are and how to perform them, etc., etc. The list goes on with the amount of information and stuff available in the game, by the way, that fully teaches these people, especially new players and even returning players like myself in these types of fighting games, how this game works and what exactly you should do with each character to further, better your skill set. And that is very, very well done on Arc System Works and Cygames' behalf, as this game is going to do a very good job of easing a new player. So out the gate, a huge pro to accessibility, and I definitely give that aspect of the game alone a 10 out of 10. There is a lot here for casual players to learn and pick up, while again teaching the harder players exactly what of the game's mechanics are going to be a little bit on the harder end to master. Now, I know what you're saying. There was a lot about casual players, Young Falcon. Where the veteran players fit into this, because it sounds pretty easy from what we're hearing and it might get a little bit stale. And to that I could say, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but also the game does offer a lot for veteran players in terms of have the proximity hit system. Now, similar to games like Samurai Showdown, when you're at a certain distance away or in front of an enemy, depending on how up close or up far you are going to get a different hit. Now, you can chain these types of hits together to get a huge combo string out, or you could mash an attack button out to get a target combo or auto combo string to combo into a skill or whatever you need to do. However, the game penalizes you from using auto combos with the pure mechanic of damage scaling. Your damage scaling instantly gets halved by sometimes 25 to 30%, whereas if you're a veteran player using the straight hit system, making sure you're spacing your proximity hits out correctly, then using a skill for big damage, well, big damage is exactly what you are going to get, with some combos going from a measly 25% to 10% even of damage to a full-on 40 to 50% of damage, which is absolutely incredible. This is the game's way of basically showing you that straight hits are the wave and making sure you do a good job of capitalizing on when you want to get in on an opponent, knowing exactly how far you should be for a combo to work or to connect, knowing what combos can push people to corners without you having to do too little damage or sometimes too much damage. I think this mechanic is really helpful, and I like how it does again offer that a little bit of Samurai Showdown influence there, and I think it's going to do a wonderful job of again easing in the newer players and rewarding those veteran players. So again, thumbs up to the accessibility here. It's great, and all the combos and systems and zoning and all that great stuff is just so much fun. On top of that, the game offers a guard button, which sounds weird at first, but when you learn that it's actually used so you could spot dodge or roll forward during attack strings to cross opponents up and things like that, it suddenly becomes one of the best mechanics I've ever seen in a game like this, which is also very good considering the amount of zoning characters that are in the game. So knowing when to spot dodge attacks or when to cross up and go in for a huge combo is most definitely very important, and you want to keep an eye on that mechanic, especially because there's a lot of zoning type characters in the game, and it feels extremely satisfying to hit a spot dodge and go for a full combo string. Like, you don't understand. That's like one of the most satisfying things I've had the pleasure of practicing in this game. So accessibility, solid 10. Let's keep it pushing and talk about the presentation, as I think once again it knocks it out of the park. The art style on display is anime as heck, but it gets the job done. Every character looks super cool. The character designs are very dope. They all have super dope armor, really cool, facial expressions during supers. It's expressive as all get out. There's a lot of animation when the characters are, getting their throws in or doing their victory animations or doing their supers. It's all just super good stuff. I can't complain on that front. It's colorful, it's bombastic as all get out, and the music couples this nicely with epic sweeping orchestras and all of that good stuff. So the presentation is just incredible. The art style looks very clean. I love how all the characters look, and the cel shaded 3D visuals are once again knocking it out of the park. I just think it's a solid 10 on this front too. Like, I can't complain. Also, side shoutouts to the stage variety. I just really love how the stages are made and how they do their transitions on the third rounds if you can reach a round 3. It's just always a nice touch for me. I think that stuff is really dope. And of course, we already talked about the gameplay a little bit as we talked about accessibility, but to further express my thoughts on it, I think the gameplay here is really good. Obviously, as I've been saying, I am a huge fan of the skill system. I like how there's a cooldown on EX moves, but not necessarily a bar for EX moves and just one bar for your super meter, which you can build really quickly, by the way. And it's very nice to be able to use like 1 to 2 supers per match, because those are your kind of kill moves, right? Like, those are the moves you want to use to get a lot of damage in, and it's nice that you can find ways to build that meter really quickly, rack up a lot of damage, or get hit a bunch and kind of use an explosive get off me tool or use an explosive combo extender, whatever it may be, for big damage. So I am a fan of the way the super meter is, and I really enjoy the amount of variety the characters have to offer here. Gran's a wonderful all-around rushdown type of character. He's your Ryu Ken of the game, if you will. He's great. He does a good job of either zoning characters out or going for crazy high-end corner strings and all this wonderful stuff. You have Katarina with her wall bounce combos, but also could be a pretty effective zoner, kind of like Kiai from Guilty Gear Xrd. You have characters like Zeta, who just just do a standout job of shutting down characters, while again also keeping them at bay so you could really switch up your style. You have Fairy, who's just a great zoner, using her little wisp to send you all the way to the corner and do these crazy setups and keep knocking you down and pressuring you and making sure your shield gets chipped out on. Or she could be an absolute annoying gnat that's always in your face and constantly rushing you down. The amount of variety of expression you have with your character in this game is surprisingly competent, and I really like what they've done here, despite the little bit of a limited skill tree in terms of all the special moves offered, as every character usually has about 4. So I could see how that gets a little samey after a while, but with the amount of variety you have with the proximity hits and combos you can pull off and just different routes everyone's going to have, I don't think one character is going to play the same, even if it's the 2 people playing the same character. I feel like there's always going to be different combo paths they're going to take or different routes they're going to have, simply due to the proximity system and play styles that are going to be featured throughout the game. So no worries on that front. I mean, I'm a Percival player. I love his installs. I really like how he can firepower and charge up and all that jazz, and I've already fought many Percival duos so far in this game, and no one really plays like my Percival. They all have their own styles. We all have our own really, small unique styles, and I think this game does a very good job of letting you be expressive with your character despite the limited moveset. That is a small knock, though, I won't lie. I would like a little bit more of an expanded moveset, but just because of the nature of the core gameplay with the skills, I understand that it's not possible. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe in the future, in a season 2 update or something, they'd allow us to switch out different skills, maybe choose 4 or something like that, but then I could see how that would cause issues for tournaments and things of that nature, so we'll just have to wait and see. However, despite that tiny little gripe, I still think the gameplay is very fun, and I really enjoy what they do here with the proximity hits and being allowed to reward the more veteran players with timing your hits exactly, knowing when you want to cross up, when you don't want to, when you want to use your unique actions, and all of that good stuff. So huge thumbs up on that. So gameplay wise, another really high ranking for me. I'm definitely giving it an 8 here, but good gameplay, presentation, even content is all good and well, but none of that means much if the network isn't good. And I can say with the utmost certainty that GranBlue Online is anime online. It's not the worst online I've ever played, and it's definitely not the best, unfortunately. Rollback netcode would have been very nice, but we'll get there eventually. Overall, I thought it was hit or miss, a solid 7 to 6 out of 10. Some matches are very smooth and run pretty well, and it gets the job done. But then you have those other matches where there's 3 to 4 frames of delay, and you're kind of forced to use the skill button because it eats your inputs. You can't dash in at times, you can't backdash at times because it's eating at the delay, and it really sucks that it kind of hampers your overall play. You can't do what you want to do because the online's kind of tearing you apart, you know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of these types of games, especially when there's no rollback netcode. So with that all out the way, is the networking good? For the most part, if you match up with people in your region, which I did, I switched to the North American region and things did get considerably smoother. Worldwide, however, is still a big issue, and I really want fighting games to fix that because I want to fight people everywhere. I don't want to just fight people here, you know what I'm saying? I want to fight the world. It's the whole point of networking, you know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. You just gotta take what you can. It's a solid 6, like I said. So, with that all out of the way, how do I feel about GranBlue Fantasy Versus as a whole? Well, for starters, I love the abundance of content, and I like how it does have an English dub option, and of course the English text and stuff in the Hong Kong release is pretty good. Don't know why it's getting a delayed release in America, however, probably should get on that. Besides those tiny gripes, though, I think the game is absolutely outstanding. It's tons of fun. I really want to learn it. I don't feel like any characters are too broken or busted right now. I think everything is really well balanced because of the core mechanics with spot dodging and being able to roll in, essentially, and all of that good stuff. Being able to have all these different functions to combat zoners if your character isn't a zoner or more of a rushdown oriented character is great, and knowing what moves are what and having damage output be as crazy as it is in this game is just tons of fun to play, and I really enjoy having to constantly fight against all of the characters that are on display here. So overall, I think GranBlue Fantasy Versus gets a solid 9 out of 10 from me if I were to give it a score. If I wasn't, it would just be it's really good, you should pick it up like right now. It's so much fun, and I really hope to see people online practicing this one, especially if you're new to fighting games. It's my biggest recommendation. If you're new to fighting games, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind this is the one you want to pick up as we keep entering this new resurgence of fighting games. Like, this is the one that's accessible yet very difficult to pull off, and I like how it's an anime fighter that's doing something a little bit new from the wave dashers we've been seeing with Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball FighterZ. I like how it's more grounded, Street Fighter-esque, rewarding, punishing jump-ins, all that good stuff, rather than just being another wave dasher. Overall, I really like what they're doing here, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the DLC characters and how they're going to add new stages and all that good stuff. So, big ups to Arc System Works Inside Games with GranBlue Fantasy Versus. It was a blast to play, and I hope to see you guys on the battlefield. Alright, my name is Falcon. Thank you all for watching this review. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next review. Peace.